Hello everyone, my name is Brian, but you can call me the Bugler, and today I'll be your host for the Hunter Best in Show video. In this video, I'll be covering which subclass and skill tree for the Hunter I believe is best in the categories we have chosen. The categories are: Number 1, Best PvE Ad Control Super. Number 2, Most Orbs Created by a Super. Number 3, Best PvP Subclass and Skill Tree. And number 4, the highest single target damage super. Let's get started. And the award for Best PvE Ad Control Super goes to the Nightstalker Hunter's Way of the Trapper skill tree, and this is due to the skill Deadfall, which increases Shadow Shot's range and duration, beating out the bottom skill tree without Mobius Quiver unlocked. This also beat out the Arcstrider. While the Arcstrider has the ability to kill quite a few ads, it's also a very unsafe option. At higher level activities, running in with your Arcstaff out can almost mean suicide in certain situations. When using the Nightstalker, you're able to control ads from a distance, and the increased range and duration allows you to shut down entire groups of enemies safely and generate orbs for your teammates at the same time. It's for these reasons that I've chosen to name the Nightstalker Way of the Trapper skill tree as the Hunter's best PvE Ad Control Super. Let's move on to our next category, the Most Orbs Created by a Super. But first, we have an honorable mention in this category. The honorable mention goes to the Way of the Sharpshooter Gunslinger Hunter, and this is due to the skills Practice Makes Perfect, Line 'em Up, and Crowd Pleaser. Using these skills in conjunction allows you to do something very interesting as far as orb creation goes. It's also the only super that allows you to generate up to 6 orbs against a single enemy without killing anyone. This is something that our winner cannot do. Let's take a look at the example I was talking about previously. When a group of 3 hunters get together, you're able to accomplish an amazing feat. As long as you score headshots with your super, you can chain the supers indefinitely. In this example, we kill the Modular Mind using only our golden guns, and because we're only landing headshots on him with our golden gun, the amount of orbs we create is more than enough to charge the supers for our other teammates. And it's because of this that the Way of the Sharpshooter deserves an honorable mention here. However, it's unable to stack up against our winner as far as the raw orb creation numbers go. The award for most orbs generated by a super goes to the Nightstalker Way of the Pathfinder skill tree, without Mobius Quiver unlocked. This is due to the skill Heart of the Pack, which grants additional orbs of light when killing tethered enemies. Now, the reason why the version with Mobius Quiver unlocked does not win this award is because Mobius Quiver makes generating orbs with this super a little bit harder. That's not to say you can't reach the max orb creation limit with Mobius Quiver, it just makes it a little more cumbersome, and therefore not worth using in my opinion. Let's take a look at the numbers we can generate here. In a single use of Shadow Shot, we're able to generate up to 10 orbs before we hit a hard cap. The other version of Shadow Shot that the Way of the Trapper has access to can only generate 5 orbs. No matter how many enemies you tether or how many enemies you kill, you cannot get higher than 5 with that skill tree. Here, we hit our max at 10. But we can take this even further using the exotic, the Orpheus Rig. The exotic perk for this armor is called Uncanny Arrows, and it grants you ability energy for each enemy you tether with your Shadow Shot, including super energy towards your next Shadow Shot. This means you'll be able to chain supers provided there are enough enemies for you to tether. However, there's a hidden effect of this perk. It allows you to circumvent the 10 orb limit that the Way of the Pathfinder was normally constrained to. Let's take a look at that now. In this example, you'll see I was able to generate 14 orbs in a single use of Shadow Shot, but this number can get even higher. The most I've recorded is 17 orbs in a single shot, and an orb rate of about 42 orbs per 40 seconds, provided I continued to chain my Shadow Shots as soon as they were available. This is absolutely insane, and I don't see any other super in the game topping this setup. However, since it's tied to an exotic, you're gonna need that if you want to see numbers like this. Otherwise, the base version is pretty sufficient at 10 orbs per super. Let's move on to our next category, the best PvP subclass and skill tree. We have another honorable mention here as well. It goes to, again, the Gunslinger Hunter, but this time, both skill trees provided you do not unlock 6-shooter for the Way of the Outlaw skill tree. 6-shooter takes your normal 3-shot golden gun and gives you 6 shots, however at a severely reduced duration, down to 6 seconds from 12. This makes it much harder for you to land those hits in PvP, especially when enemies are running away from you. But I found quite a bit of success with the other skills in this skill tree. I really enjoyed using the throwing knife and was able to get quite a few kills with the extra explosive damage on the Way of the Outlaw skill tree, as well as the extra accuracy we gained to our golden gun. And this is exactly as significant as it was in PvE. You can shoot your golden gun off without really even aiming. In this example, you'll see me shoot my golden gun at 2 unsuspecting victims who thought I had to aim at them. Well, they were wrong. I didn't even need to hit them, in fact, because they die no matter what. As long as you're within, I don't know, a football field of them using this super, you will still kill them, and it is very fun to use. Now, the Way of the Sharpshooter is also worth mentioning here because of your ability to get precision hits while using your golden gun. This makes any other super in the game a one-shot headshot kill, so you can shut down any other super mid-super, provided you take the extra time to aim your shot. The reason why this is relegated to only an honorable mention and not the actual award is because of how easy you are to shut down when using the golden gun. If you're being team shot or caught off guard, you really have no chance to defend yourself. You're very squishy without the extra armor that other supers are granted here, so make sure you're prepared when you use your golden gun. Before we move on to the award, I want to do a dishonorable mention here, and I'm sure quite a few of you are going to be upset at this. I think the Night Stalker Hunter in PvP is in a very bad spot, and it's mostly because of how the super functions. The neutral game is okay. I didn't find much success in it, but I can't deny the utility in the Way of the Trapper's ability to go invisible on a dodge cooldown, and the Way of the Pathfinder's ability to lock down certain areas with longer grenade durations. I just couldn't find much success here, and things get even worse when trying to use your super. Shadow Shot in PvP is in a very bad spot. Not only does it no longer kill enemies in a single hit, the aiming is also way worse than it was in Destiny 1. It doesn't snap nearly as nicely as it used to. In addition to this, the time it takes from when you fire your arrow and when a tether activates and suppresses the enemies takes way too long. So if you're looking to shut down supers, you need to fire off much earlier than you think, or the enemy has to be not paying attention. I know I'm not the only one that has these issues, because I was on the other end of it quite a few times, where someone was trying to kill me with a tether and unable to, or they had tethered me and I was able to kill them and get out of it. There needs to be something done about this. I'm not quite sure what, but something needs to be addressed. I think killing enemies in one hit is a great place to start. Of course, this is not to say that other players cannot find value from the Night Stalker in PvP. I, unfortunately, am just not one of them. So the award for Best PvP Subclass and Skill Tree goes to the Arcstrider Hunter's Way of the Wind. This skill tree has what I believe to be the best skills to augment your neutral game in the current meta. We have Focused Breathing, which allows us to recharge our dodge faster while sprinting, Combat Meditation, which helps with ability cooldowns as long as we're critically wounded, which I'm sure you will be playing the current PvP meta a lot, and finally, Lightning Reflexes, which gives us an increased damage reduction while dodging. Let's take a look at some of the things we can do here using this skill tree. The first thing I want to address is the grenades that the Arcstrider has access to. I know we don't have pulse grenades, but I found quite a bit of success with the Arc Bolt grenade. Learning how to throw them correctly in order to chain between multiple enemies was a boon for me in PvP, combined with the reduced cooldowns utilizing Combat Meditation, and you have quite the grenade spammer here, and you can clean up a lot of kills using the Arc Bolt grenade. The next thing I want to talk about is the class ability. Now, the dodge isn't only limited to this subclass, meaning that if you have Ultra Instincts like I do, you can get out of some pretty sticky situations. However, with Lightning Reflexes, which grants us increased damage resistance while rolling, you can do some other pretty special things as well. In fact, if you time this dodge correctly, you'll be able to weasel your way out of certain death against some supers in the game, and even recover, killing the one who tried to kill you initially. Now let's talk about the Arcstrider's super next, the Arc Staff. And this super is a little bit lacking at first glance, and that's because you're unable to get any sort of self-sustain while using this super, meaning that killing enemies won't restore your health or anything like that, and you only move at your base sprint speed here, so you're kind of a sitting duck if you don't catch the enemy off guard. Where I saw the most utility using this skill, however, was actually shutting down other supers, even if it meant trading with them. In addition to this, your combo attack, the light attack, heavy, will kill any super in the game in a single hit on that last heavy attack. So you can trade with every single super in the game, provided you're fine sacrificing your own super, which in most cases, I am. But at the end of the day, the PvP portion of this video comes down to my strict opinion and my personal playstyle. And that's to say, no two players will play this game in the exact same way and see the same value in a situation as dynamic in PvP, unless you're using Mida Multitool and Uriel's Gift, of course, but that's a different story. What I'm really getting at here is, if you don't agree with my choices for the best PvP subclass for the Hunter, you're entitled to that opinion, and I'd love to hear from you. This kind of stuff changes from player to player, and it's not something that I can just objectively measure. So let's move on to something that I can objectively measure. Our final category, the highest single target damage super for PvE. But first we have an honorable mention, and it goes to the Arcstrider Way of the Warrior skill tree, due in part to the skill Lethal Current, which makes your Arc Staff deal additional aftershock damage when you dodge during your Arc Staff super. This brings a possible potential total damage to the Modular Mind, the enemy that we use all of our super damage testing for, up to 7,135. This, of course, is a base super, so this means no exotics are messing with it. If we were only working with the base supers, this would be the highest possible potential damage, although it's much harder to see high damage numbers like this against single target enemies like the Modular Mind. We can take this a little bit further, however, with the exotic Raiden Flux. Now, I haven't done a formal breakdown of the Raiden Flux yet. However, it's important to talk about it here because of the increased damage we can do against single targets. Its exotic perk grants stacks of Synapse Junctions, which increases the duration of our Arc Staff as well as the amount of damage each attack does. We're able to increase our combo significantly against a single target, bringing our potential maximum damage to somewhere between 13,000 and 14,000 against the Modular Mind. But the reason you're not seeing footage of me doing this against the Modular Mind is because I found a feat like this to be virtually impossible. Not only is it extremely unsafe, but the likelihood of landing every single hit against an enemy like the Modular Mind is very difficult to do. I will be trying to do it for the exotic breakdown I have planned. But let's move on to our winner. And the award for highest single target damage PvE super goes to the Gunslinger Hunter's Way of the Sharpshooter subclass while using the Celestial Nighthawk. The Celestial Nighthawk's exotic perk, Hawkeye Hack, replaces your Golden Gun with a single shot that deals 6 times damage. If you combine that with the Way of the Sharpshooter's ability to score critical hits, you can see how we deal such high damage. Let's take a look at the damage we can deal against the Modular Mind. In a single headshot, we deal 10,761 damage to the Modular Mind. Now I know what you're thinking. This isn't as high as the Raiden Flux could potentially deal, but that's the important distinction here. Potentially. The Celestial Nighthawk deals this much damage in an instant, making its DPS incredibly high. In addition to this, you can do it from a safe distance without needing to worry about confirming every single shot. As long as you take your time to line up that only shot you have, you can really deal some high damage. Which is why I placed the Celestial Nighthawk with the Way of the Sharpshooter skill tree as the highest single target damage super for the Hunter. And now that all of our formal awards are over with, I want to give a special award to my favorite Hunter subclass and skill tree. And this award goes to the Gunslinger Hunter's Way of the Sharpshooter skill tree. Everything about this skill tree just speaks to me. When I use it, I always have a good time, and the theme of the skill tree really complements my playstyle. Taking my time to line up shots and rewarding both me and my teammates for doing so is something that I find really useful in normal gameplay. And while using the Orpheus rig with the Way of the Pathfinder always brought a smile to my face, this one never fails to disappoint me. Whenever I use this skill tree, I'm having a good time, and that's why it deserves this award. And that's the end of our Hunter Best in Show Awards video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments about the awards I gave, why I gave them, my thought process behind the whole situation, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to answer your questions. The next thing I'm working on is going to be my Warlock Best in Show video, and just like with the Hunter Best in Show video, I'm going to be releasing exotic breakdowns intermittently while I do the work behind the scenes for the Warlock video. So, my next exotic breakdown is going to be a Titan armor piece, and I'm between the Synthoceps and the Insurmountable Skull Fort, so let me know in the comments what your vote is for, and I'll do the one that gets the most attention. As per usual, I'll be going live on Twitch shortly after this video releases for a Q&A session. I'll be playing Iron Banner and getting pretty sweaty, so if you'd like to join me, you can check out the link to my Twitch channel in this video's description, as well as the link to my Patreon and clan page, and our Discord server. Anyone is welcome to join the Discord server. We'd be happy to have you. So once again, thanks for watching. I hope I see you next time. And good luck getting through the exclusion zone.